It's crazy, these so-called psychics who communicate with the dead. I've always considered them as wannabe failed actors who also had a knack for reading verbal and nonverbal cues of the oblivious public. Kind of like poker players who read other players' mannerisms and reactions in order to gain advantage. There was absolutely no way in hell she could have known. It had been my deepest shame and secret for the past 2 years, and I had not breathed a word. I remember the very moment it first started. I was 20 and was close to hitting rock bottom after spiraling into a deep abyss of depression, drugs, and sex. I was in the shower after crawling home from some guy's house, whose name I don't remember now, or, to be completely honest, even that morning. Trying to desperately feel clean, inside and out I assume, I literally froze in mid-scrub as I heard some rustling noises just outside my bathroom door. I was home alone as my housemate had gone away for the weekend, so naturally, unexpected noises startled me. I listened out for a few seconds before dismissing it to a combination of the running shower and possibly the come down from a cocktail of uppers I had consumed. But no, there it was again. This time, I turned the faucets off, desperately straining my ears to confirm the reality of the sounds outside my door, all whilst trying to blink away soap suds that were dripping into my eyes. At first, nothing, but then I heard the familiar squeak of my doorknob being turned, followed by a gust of cool air that flowed into my steamed-up bathroom. The suds were really foaming up, and the more I tried to rub them aside, the more it stung my eyes. My other hand was busy, furiously trying to defog my steamed-up shower cubicle, so I could see what the hell was going on. Ugh, it had gotten too much, and I had to quickly blast cold water to rinse myself off, and the soap from burning my eyes. When I turned off the water and flung open my shower door, I was greeted with, well, nothing, as one should expect. The bathroom door was shut, and no strange rustling outside my door. Although the voice inside my head persisted that I had felt the cool change of air and heard the squeaky door handle turn. My desperation to convince myself that somehow I had just imagined it all was more comforting. But that wasn't before I felt the slightest brush against my thighs. It was just the softest, lightest sensation for a split second, but definitely something. Blaming the come down and lack of sleep, I had gone about everything else afterwards like I usually would have. The next time I questioned my sanity was, awkwardly enough, whilst in the middle of, well, you know, pinned up against some guy's headboard in an unnatural angle, legs over his shoulders, and wondering if he knew of the mold stains in the right corner of his bedroom ceiling. It had been a good 6 months since the shower incident. Something moved in the corner of my eye, and I had thrown the guy off me in shock, exclaiming, "Who the hell is that?" The poor bloke looked so confused as he looked behind his shoulder before telling me he lived alone. "But I saw someone, or thing." My voice had faltered as "this chick is a nutcase" expression came over his face. I'd shook my head and mustered up my sexiest, most dazzling smile that I could at the time, before jumping onto his lap, straddling him. A cool, feathery stroke brushed against my thighs, which caused me to shiver and smile at him, before realizing both his arms were wrapped around my waist. These little jerky movements became increasingly frequent, as well as the gentle feeling of something touching my leg. I guess I thought if I ignored it, it didn't happen. So, after seeing flickers of movement twice in an hour after a binge session for my 21st birthday, I decided to call it a night and was laying in bed, groggily reminiscing the blurry memories of the past 3 days, waiting for the Sandman to come. Then came a creak from the foot of my bed. I had wooden floorboards, so they naturally made painstaking noises when walked upon, but obviously that was not supposed to be part of the plan when alone in your room at 2 a.m. in the morning trying to catch some Z's. I made a beeline for my lamp switch, and my room was filled with the warm glow of my childhood Tigger nightlight. Of course, nothing was there. I let out the breath I didn't even realize I was holding and leaned over to switch off Tigger when I felt a slight weight on the foot of my bed. I whirled around to see, but nothing. What the fuck? I did not care if I was the big 2-1. I was going to sleep with my goddamn nightlight on. I lay back down slowly and pulled my covers up. There it was again, this time right near my feet. I inhaled sharply as I felt the pressure slowly come up next to my knee. It was like there was someone, or something, slowly crawling up my bed. Except, of course, there had been nothing there when I had first checked, and now I refused to look again. The weight slowly shifted up to where my thighs were, and that's when I managed to find my voice. Who's there? I wanted to sound confident, but my voice had come out shaky and about 3 octaves higher than normal. In hindsight, I knew I would have been more scared if I heard a reply, so it was a pretty dumb thing to have said out loud. But back then, my brain was obviously much more focused on other matters on hand to have realized this. I felt another tread, this time near where my stomach was. Whatever it was getting damn close. I wanted to scream, but it seemed to be caught in my throat. The next step came, and this time, it came with the sudden chill of an icy breeze. Goosebumps exploded across my skin even though it was under the blanket. I felt like the room temperature had suddenly plummeted to just above freezing as I felt the cold burst of air on my face. That's when I heard it. Her.
Mommy?
It was the faintest voice of a little girl. It sounded so far away, yet I heard her loud and clear as if she were right next to... Oh, Jesus, Mary, Mother effing Christ. That gave me the strength I needed to let out the most piercing scream I had ever expelled in my life. My housemate Anna burst into my room armed with a baseball bat. She placed it down next to her when she realized I was alone with my Tigger nightlight in the fetal position under my covers. Kristen, are you okay? Are you overdosing? Should I call an ambulance? No, I whimpered from underneath my shield of cloth. What's wrong? She asked and sat down on the foot of my bed. I jumped at the sudden weight again. She looked at me concerned. Kay, what's going on? Ugh, she was going to think I was a goddamn nutcase. Hell, maybe I was. I explained to her what had been happening. The shower incident, the movements in the corner of my eyes, the brushes on my thighs, and summed it up by what had just happened tonight. To my surprise, she didn't suggest a padded room with a straitjacket. She just looked thoughtful before suggesting I go with her somewhere later today as it may shine some light on my situation. Mystified, I agreed, but only if she would spend the night in my room. Thank God, I'd have followed her happily to the madhouse to have her with me tonight. So, there we were, standing in this random lady's chambers, which was really a makeshift basement, flooded with candles, stones, charms, and other bits and pieces I did not wish to look closer to make out. I glared at Anna, who was doing a great job of pretending she didn't notice my, "What the hell are we doing here? I was wrong. You're the one who needs to be institutionalized," dirty looks I was sending her. The place she had taken me to was some whack job lady calling herself Lady Purgatory, the voices for the dead and living. Her receptionist had ushered us into this elaborately adorned basement and told us solemnly that Lady P would grace us shortly. That was 20 minutes ago. Talk about making an entrance. She better not be charging by the hour. I ignored the flicker of darting movement from the corner of my eye as I focused on Anna's averting eyes instead. "Sorry, darling." A thickly accented voice floated down the steps to lead way for Lady P, who was dressed to the part very well. Long, swishy skirt with large, chunky adorned jewelry. I couldn't help but snicker. She frowned at me before casting her eyes down next to me. "Oh, no, dear. No children allowed. We don't want them to be spooked, do we?" "What children?" I stammered, following her eyes to the empty spot next to me. "You'll have to wait upstairs, darling. Run along like a good girl," Lady P cooed. I felt that familiar brush against my thighs and felt a jolt go through my body. "What children?" I repeated. My throat became suddenly dry. She raised her eyebrows at me. Your daughter? Why do you deny her? Anna laughed. Kristen can barely keep a pot plant alive, Lady P. Lady P's look didn't even waver. There was no way this batshit crazy lady could have known. Even Anna didn't know. I'm afraid, young lady, I cannot send her off, as the mother-daughter bond is much too strong. You are all she knows. So wherever you go, she will follow, she said in a softer tone, until it is time for you to join her. I knew what she meant. I had my suspicions for a while now, but put them into my slowly going cray-cray category. Turned out, despite my best efforts to blur out the pain with a new drug-fueled life, I would always have a reminder of what used to be and what could have been.